Welcome to the E-Show with Neil Ravin. With over 1,000 NCAA commitments, the EHL is the proven path to college. Turn it up and learn more about the college placement leader at the Division II and III levels.
Welcome to the E-Show, presented by the Penalty Box Foundation. The Foundation's mission centers around their daily motto, "We take care of our own," as they help out all of those within the hockey community who've experienced a catastrophic event. Learn more at penaltyboxfoundation.org. What's up? My name is Neil Ravin, and this is episode number 72 of the E-Show. On this week's episode, we officially welcome Greg Heffernan to the EHL. After 12 seasons of serving as the head coach at Western New England University, Heffernan is ready to take on a new challenge. The native of Ontario inherits a program on the rise in the EHL, coming off their first playoff series victory this past March. Heffernan hopes to help the program continue to take steps forward from the moment he arrives and in the years to come. To wrap things up, the E-Crew puts together the all-time lineup for the Connecticut Chiefs. I'm joined now by Greg Heffernan, the new head coach and general manager of the Connecticut Chiefs. How's it going, Greg?
Not too bad. Thanks for having me on board.
And welcome to the E-Show. Welcome to the EHL. Let's jump right into things with you. As I've started each of our Team of the Week features so far this year, they've all been with EHL coaches looking back on the 2020-21 season. I know every college was different. What was the 2020-21 season like for you?
Yeah, so, it was a little bit frustrating, but we took the opportunity to really look at what we can do creatively, help our players really focus on skill development and new delivery techniques using video technology and such. So I'm a glass half full type guy, and I could be complaining about the fact that I spent half a season with 13 guys on the ice at a time and whatever safety protocols had to be followed in order to make sure that we were operating under the guidance of CDC. But, frankly, we went out there and took an approach every day of a growth mentality and really worked with players and focused on their individual skill development. And it really, as a coach, really forced me to think outside the box and really come up with some new techniques and new strategies on how to coach in the middle of a pandemic. We came together with our teams in a locker room setting. So we utilized a lot of video messaging and things like that. And frankly, I think it's something that I'm going to carry forward because I think we got such a tremendous response from our players and such positive feedback on so we couldn't get around the whiteboard. So we would video practice plans out to them the night before, and loved it because we spent all of our time actually doing things on the ice rather than sitting around a whiteboard. And there was examples like that, and then being able to coach systems on recording so that they would be able to refer back to them. It really forced me outside of my comfort zone and really helped me develop as a coach. And I think our players became far better players because there's no need to prepare for another team. All we had to do was prepare to get better for the season that we could potentially have that never really came to be.
Yeah, and you aren't the first coach that I've had from the CCC last season. I had TJ Monastersky on from Curry. They were able to play a few games. So from the sounds of it, you weren't able to play any games at all. Is that correct?
Yeah, we got into it was just an ugly situation, right? So what we ended up happening is everybody at the college level had to test negative in order to participate in play. We ended up doing a great job, and then one guy popped at some point in February, and then a week later, roommates popped, and then a week later, the guys that they were studying with popped, and so we ended up having, two guys every week for 6 consecutive weeks, or roughly thereabout, right? Maybe one guy, but it ended up, by the time it was all said and done, by the time we would have been able to play a game, we had not practiced in 3 weeks, and some guys had not practiced in 5 weeks. And ironically, as we were healthy, the team we were supposed to play against, somebody on their team popped. So the decision was made for us that it wasn't going to happen. And thankfully, nobody got really sick. We had a few guys, including myself, that got got sick, and it was a terrible. But thankfully, nobody got really sick and had to go to the hospital or anything. So again, glass half full. You know, we survived, and nobody got terribly sick, and we're blessed on that. So.
And we're going to touch on the decision to leave college to come to juniors, but before we get to that, obviously it wasn't on your mind probably during the season. During the season, you're thinking about when will my 12th year at Western New England really start? But now as you take a step back and you had 11 seasons prior to that, is it somewhat distasteful that it had to end the way that it did, or do you still look back with positive thoughts the previous 11 years?
Hey, you know what? My time at Western New England was one of the greatest times of my life, which is why I left previously. And you know what? Like I have to choose to look at it from a career perspective rather than from it was awful to be this way. To be honest with you, I really feel badly for my seniors. You know, that's that core group of guys that, you know, for the most part, 5 of the 6 of them are going to transition into the workplace, and all of them are making big bucks because Western New England is a fantastic place. I'll throw a plug for the new coach. They're a fantastic place to get an education. And so, you know, I really wish we could have got one under our belt or 2 or a weekend or what have you, just to give them the last kick at the cat. But, you know, me personally, I look at my body of work of 11 years of coaching and 12 years there as experience for me that was fantastic. We've left it. I like to think I've left it better than I've found it. And, you know, I'm just really, really excited about the new chapter moving forward here.
And we're going to get to that, but I want to go back further into your coaching career before, because what's unique, and I see it a lot throughout our league, is following a playing career right into a coaching career. The next season, was that always the thought process for you, or is it just the way it worked out?
Yeah. So my the backstory there is I played a little bit in the semi-pro league up in Quebec, which at the time was I wasn't good enough to be a scorer there, and I wasn't tough enough to be a fighter, which left me out of work pretty quickly. And so you know, I started doing. My undergraduate degree was in economics, and I started at the Bank of Montreal in the banking world. And I realized quickly that I'd rather spend 13 hours a day doing hockey than 3 hours a day doing banking. And so I got a great opportunity from Dave Smith and Rick Gotkin. At the time, Dave Smith, who's at RPI now, was at Mercyhurst with Rick. And tremendous opportunity there to go as a grad assistant at the Division I level. And the nice part about it is I had very supportive parents, where back then I think the pay was about $600 a month plus your scholarship. And I had very supportive parents my father is a teacher, so education was very important in my household. And he said, you know what, your mother and I will make sure that you have food on your table and a house over your head. You go down there and you get your master's. And so it was a very easy decision for me to stay in hockey and work like a dog in the hockey community, because it's what you love to do. It's a passion. And like anything else in life, when you're passionate about what you do for a living, you don't work a day. So, you know, that transitioned into my time at Cleveland, which was a tremendous experience there, working with some very similar environment to what I'm moving into right now in terms of the development model and trying to advance kids onto either the USHL or some directly to college, but mostly moving them on to junior leagues. Back then it was the Atlantic Junior League, was the Eastern Hockey League, and the EJHL existed back then. And then the North American League and the USHL were the big ones you know, that we were trying to develop our players for. And, you know, very similar to this right here, where we're trying to advance guys to college and maybe some of the younger players to where they want to go. Right. Yep. So fortunately, Rick Gotkin and Jeff Meredith played together at Brockport. And so what that meant was Rick Gotkin, it was very instrumental in getting me in front of Jeff Meredith. And that turned into my opportunity at Fredonia. And so going to Fredonia for 3 years and working with one of the best in the game in Jeff Meredith, turned into a championship season for us there. And again, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And Chris Bernard and I were very good friends, and he's the coach at Potsdam right now, but he was the head coach at Western New England. And when he left for Potsdam, he put 3 names on the athletic director's desk as per the athletic director's request. And my name was one of them. And so that turned into Western New England. And, so Western New England was my home for half of my adult life. And, it was a great experience. So, yeah, that's a little bit about I've never left the game. So.
Well, and you kind of took my notes there because I wanted to go back to Fredonia. You're not the first coach that's come on this podcast who at one point worked under Jeff Meredith and then ended up being a Division III head coach. Another was Brian Dickinson. You brought up Brockport. That's, of course, where he is right now. So let's just take an extra moment to go back to Jeff Meredith and to work under a coach like him. Would you say he was one of the most influential in that you knew after your time with him, you were ready to be a college head coach?
So the reason why every coach that's worked with Jeff is still in the game or an athletic director or involved in sports in a full-time capacity is because Jeff prepares you. Okay. He's a dear friend of mine. We call and we laugh all the time and tell stories about, it's always fun to reminisce about the old days. And I'm starting to feel like I'm getting longer in the tooth when I'm talking about the old days being 2007. But Jeff, I would recommend to any, whether it's young or younger or, maybe even early part of your career. And if you get offered a job by Jeff, you take the job, even if you have to take a loan to do it. Okay. Jeff prepares guys to be professionals in whatever field, and it's generally an athletics field or a hockey coaching field. And he prepares you on all levels. It's not just hockey. It's about how to run a program. And he is the man. So
with all that preparation, though, you then become a head coach. Was there anything that right away caught you off guard or surprised you?
Oh, yeah, it's interesting. So you always have all the answers as the assistant coach. You sit in the chair and everything looks good, but when it comes time to actually have to follow through on the decisions made, a lot of those things, I spent the first 2 or 3 years, I think, calling Jeff going, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're right. And a lot of it is that you get creative and when you're a little bit, when you don't have to be necessarily and frame it accountable for the final decision. Yeah. And I think when you're a head coach for the first time at the collegiate level, I think a lot of it is really, after you've made the decisions, what are the repercussions of those decisions? And I think those are the things right there that it's not even X's and O's. It's more like if you have to move a player or you have to remove a player, there's instant repercussion, right? Okay. And I think when I was sitting across the table from Jeff as his assistant, I think, advising on a lot of those things is far different than actually pulling the trigger on them. And I think that if there's anything that I could say about a transition from being an assistant coach to a head coach, I think everybody would agree that is one of the things that's the biggest difference.
Okay. And now we've caught up to where we are now. We get to the question that I wanted to ask from the beginning, but I wanted to save it a little bit because you have all this time in college hockey in the Division III world, and then you move to juniors. The blunt question, why?
It checked off a ton of boxes. Okay. So first of all, Brandon Johnson, the owner, who just hired me at the Connecticut Chiefs, first class, awesome guy. And when I went down and met with him and Ike, who's our director of player personnel there, and makes a lot of the organizational hockey decisions, I knew instantly that this is going to be the next best new challenge.
Okay.
I wanted a different level, and some of the coaches in the league, I'm sure I talked to them, but quietly, what's it like? Because I've been removed from this level for quite some time. But I think, for me, it was a situation where I think I can go to Connecticut. I truly believe I can build a winning program there. But more importantly, I feel like with my network and my connections to the college hockey world, I'll be able to help grow players, a player development centered model, move them along to the colleges that fit what they want academically. And then, in turn, that's going to create success for us. And so I think when we lined all of that stuff up, COVID actually gave me a really good opportunity to hit the pause button. And I talked to you earlier in the interview about how much I enjoyed the player development side of getting back to grassroots. And I think that really impacted, hey, what's the next challenge? And where can I go where it's a player-centered approach, where we can help players grow, help them achieve what their goals are from a hockey standpoint and from an academic standpoint, and also, compete and put them in an environment where, we're in a situation where we're trying to compete for a championship every year. And you know what? When this one came up, and the fact that it's 30 miles from where I live, and my wife can stay working where she works, and we have a young son who's just learning to skate, and he can go and be at the rink with daddy, and we've got another son on the way. It's just all the boxes just seem to get checked off, and it's as you can tell, I'm very excited about it. I'm excited to get going and put together a roster here for next season. It just checked off so many boxes. It was mixed emotions because you leave a place that you've been at for a long period of time and a lot of friends that are made there. But there's new friends to be made, and those friends will always be there when I show up for a lacrosse game or a soccer game on a Saturday afternoon where we have the weekend off, just to support some of my friends at the college. So,
and everything that you just touched on right there, obviously checks all the boxes, like you said. But in terms of what you can bring with you from Western New England, what kind of stood out in your answer is that network. So I know I'm not the one interviewing you, Brandon did. But was that one of your selling points, is being able to say, I was a Division III coach, so I know all the other guys that are going to be trying to eventually recruit these players?
Well, I don't think that necessarily was the end-all be-all selling point, but it certainly doesn't hurt, right? I mean, all of my friends that I call in my phone directory, I mean, some of my closest friends, I look at my wedding party and they're all coaches of some kind or scouts. One was an NHL scout. The other one coaches women's hockey at the college level. Another one's a men's head coach. And then there's my brother who works up in Toronto. And then I'm looking around going, all my friends are coaches at the college or the pro level. And it certainly doesn't hurt. And You know what? I think also, from a recruiting standpoint, I think that kids are going to understand that coming here, you're going to potentially have a guy that can help mentor you and, prepare you in a way that you can expect to be at the college level and also the network, right? Yeah. So I think it's twofold, right? If you've been at the college game for the last, I don't know how many years it is now, but and then you also have all of your friends that are college coaches, I think that's going to help kids grow and develop. It also puts a little faith in some of those coaches when they're recruiting a kid, that they know that they're playing in an environment or practicing in an environment where the college game is being taught, right? So
as you wrap up things at Western New England and you begin to dive right into the recruiting with the Chiefs, there's a few players' names that stand out from last year's team. Defensemen and Declan Bronte, Dominic Chirico. There was actually Jason Gordon, a forward who was tied for the league lead in goals. Not to put you too much on the spot, was there any push from Brandon to call those guys right away, or where does your thought process stand with players like that?
I've already they were the first, second, and third, fourth phone calls of guys to make. I've tried to make an effort, honestly, Neil, in just the initial stages here, to call all of the players that are eligible to return. Mm-hmm. and I've got a few more left to go here, but just to take introduce 3 or 4 kids a day and introduce myself, and not necessarily even discuss re-signing, more so just to call and say hello. And I think obviously Brandon would want me to do that, but it's something that you should know to do anyway. And we've already started on that list, and are looking forward to potentially bringing back some of the guys that were key contributors.
And I think that you already have an idea of this, but you're going to get to learn it firsthand once you dive in there. You mentioned Ike's name. You're going to get a chance to meet Bob DeLessio, who's the equipment guy. When it comes to the Chiefs, they have this full staff, and I'm sure you saw the locker room, those extra amenities. How's that going to help you sell the program?
Yeah, so we are the Cadillac of junior hockey. It's run like a pro organization. And my cup of coffee in training camp in the American League back in 1999, when I walked into the Chiefs interview process, I guess it was more of a discussion than an interview, because we all hit it off well. And the fact that Ike played with one of my neighbors who's a scout for Vancouver, we ended up talking more about friends of ours in the game. But you walk into that situation there, and you're walking into what looks like minor pro. It is Bob. I have yet to meet him, but he is one of the most highly regarded equipment managers, and not too many junior teams have full-time equipment managers. Nope. And, at the end of the day, you don't have to worry about your rivets popping out or your skates being sharpened. And, Brandon does a first-class job. They have team buses. So, it's pro hockey type man. Frankly, I just wrote on my players get when they come to the Chiefs. Well, they get the benefit of almost unlimited ice time in practice. They get the benefit of a staff that is very, very deep with deep network, and they get the benefit of a pro environment.
I like the Cadillac term. I haven't heard the Chiefs referred to as that before, but I'm sure Brandon's going to love that one as well. But now, as we look forward towards the 21-22 season, I know you're just getting started, so I'm not sure if you had a chance to write down any goals or whatnot. But if you had to say at this time next year, I hope that we've accomplished this. What's your outlook for the upcoming season?
Oh, you know what? I have to put together a roster first to give you an outlook for the season. Ultimately, if I'm doing my job well, I'm moving players along to college hockey. In season number 1, we would love to win a championship, but first and foremost, the goal is to prepare guys and develop what they want from a hockey perspective on an individual basis and create that level of trust and bond with the players. I think, if you can get that culture set in year 1 and get the mentality of, hey, this is a player development organization first, and a player-centered approach to doing that, where we're looking at, hey, you're going to come here, you're going to develop over the course of whether it's 1, 2, or 3 years, okay? And then we're going to move you on to college. I think the success on the ice takes care of itself after that. I think we're going to have to be a process-centered approach and really focus, on creating an environment where players can get better every day.
Well, I like that outlook. I appreciate you coming on the podcast here for what's the first time, but will be more times. Like I said at the beginning of this interview, welcome to the East Show, and I hope you get a chance after some of the recruiting and the transition settles down. I hope you get a chance to enjoy the off season as well.
Well, thanks so much, Neil, for having me on. I really, really appreciate it. And anytime that you need somebody to bend your ear, feel free to give me a buzz.
Thank you. Thanks again to Greg Heffernan for coming on the podcast, the new head coach of the Connecticut Chiefs. And with that, let's welcome in the E crew now. And guys, back-to-back weeks with teams that are heading into their 4th season in the EHL. So we're in a little bit of a young stretch right now with these Team of the Week features.
Yes, very young. They're very young, but I like the back and forth. That's the cool thing about this segment, is we can go from the old to the new, to the new to the old, to the middle-aged franchises, if you will. And it's been fun. We're going to keep this train moving.
And it seems like the Chiefs have been around way longer. I don't know if anyone else agrees, but
yeah, I agree.
they've been around for the same amount of time as Maryland. The year before they came in was that year that we actually had the Oilers and the Rough Riders. That was the only season. That was the only. It was only one season. That was the 17-18 season, and the Oilers are the team that became the Chiefs. And of course, what's actually unique when you compare it to last week's Team of the Week feature with Team Maryland, Josh Fusco is the third head coach in Team Maryland history. Greg Heffernan is becoming the third head coach in Connecticut Chiefs history. So I'm sure the Chiefs would love to see that same sort of next step forward mentality that Fusco's brought to Maryland. Not that the first few years have been bad by any means. I mean, they won a playoff series this year.
Yeah. And challenge Walpole a little bit.
And I mean, none of us picked them. We'll acknowledge that right now. we were
Sorry,
all
chefs.
Sorry, guys.
Great nickname though, like the Hosses, the chefs.
We were all on Team Seahawks for that one. But it was a good series, and as we said before, it was one of those where even Bill Zanaboni said it. With the first game going to overtime, whoever won that game was probably going to win the series because of the momentum that they had. I think it was actually double overtime too, right? Or maybe
was that where the famous Jim McCabe Arby's call was?
That was Arby's.
That was that game.
That was the
Life
Arby's
is meaningless. Game. Enjoy Arby's, everybody.
And then the number of texts I got right afterwards that were like, "What did he just say?"
No, that wasn't like the.
The rat one.
No, it wasn't a rat though.
That was
it was a different animal, but yeah.
Oh, the rodent.
Right, Zach Simon and a rodent or something. I don't know what Zach Simon was up to that day. Anyways, off the rail segment ends.
Yes. And I said double overtime. No, how about 36 seconds into the first overtime? So
it was a quickie. My boy Dominic Chirico.
Yes. That was actually similar to the Bruins overtime there tonight, Chef. That was awesome,
sure
right?
Was.
When an overtime ends within the first minute, you can just be like, all right, we're done. We can go to bed, folks. Like, let's go to bed.
Christina was laughing at me as I was screeching like a girl in my living room, jumping up and down. Brad Marchand, my man. Made up for a couple of bad penalties, but again, back to the Chiefs.
So I think for this one, we're going to work in the opposite direction this week.
Why? Ooh. I don't like that.
I don't mind.
We're going to get to the forwards pretty quickly.
That's true. All right, put JP Miller down.
Well, so JP Miller has to be one of the goalies.
Done.
First and foremost because of all the fantasy points he got me throughout the year. The biggest one being that one Rangers victory he had. That could have helped me win fantasy. I mean, I won fantasy by 5 points. So
over me, I was in second. I'm still bitter.
I was a distant third.
Where it gets tough now is the first season. Gabrielle Couture, the numbers don't show it. And this is going to sound like crazy because I actually said this 2 weeks ago also about Peyton Duran, right? I remember saying that Peyton may have been the best goalie in the league, but the numbers just didn't show it because of the team in front of him, right? Like you
Which
put
Peyton,
nothing.
Well, it's nothing against Nathan Miller, but you just have to ask the question: if Peyton Duran was the Rangers goalie, how many wins would he have had? And
oh my God, wait, imagine. That's kind of crazy.
They could have gone undefeated.
That would be wild.
Maybe not. But Gabe Couture was legit for that first Chiefs team. And that was, in their first season, they took their lumps a little bit, as all first-year teams do. But, like, the number of calls that were...
Does that say 98?
Yes.
Ew, that's so weird. I know, it's, like, weird.
But just to, like, list off some of the shot totals or save totals, right?
Oh.
40, 46.
Oh, God.
6. I remember this 60 save against the Avalanche, and the Avalanche can hit the shot button pretty well of all the ranks, right? But that was like, I called that game, and that was like legit. And look, this is January 9th. I remember Chris Sorella saying to me, I'm going to trade for that kid at the deadline. I was like, Chris, no, you're not. but he was like 60 saves. You noticed it on the other bench, right? 53.
I can hear now. Rabbit, I shot 63 pucks at him. The kid stopped 60.
41. And then look at this stretch. Like 5 games in a row, 33, 33, 48, 35, 32. Like he was legit. And they got a lot of calls about him at that time, but he didn't want to leave to go anywhere else. He wanted to keep playing with the Chiefs. He was the number one guy. I mean, if he had gone to 2018-19, the Avalanche goaltender was Nathan Pickett. So he wouldn't have been like the number one guy if he had gone there. They probably would have been 1-1.
Wait, I think I just made that up. I don't think that's right.
18-19, they won the championship.
It
was Pickett.
Who won the MVP? I believe that. Yeah.
Yes. So Couture's now at USM. I mean, and just look at the save percentage numbers that he has there. 922 this past season. I think I want to go with him. But I do want to point out that...
Does it say McCallum is another one?
Yes. We can say that as an 0-1, maybe this time next year, which this being his age-out season coming up, he could be fighting his way to get onto this list. But I think if we're going pure alumni in a way, I would put Couture here.
Fair point. Great. I didn't realize McCallum had an extra year. That's good for them. That's a good... sturdy veteran guy to bring back into your
look at his save. I mean, it went a little bit unnoticed. He went back-to-back 40 save efforts in that Seahawks series.
Yeah, didn't someone pick him in fantasy towards the end of the year? I thought
someone should have during
we talked
the playoffs.
About him. Yeah, we talked about him.
Yes. So that wraps up the goalies. For forwards, we'll start with Brittany's favorite because he is He is the true favorite.
Oh, my man.
I know. I thought we were going to go GDF, but now we're going GFD.
Yeah, we got to just mix it up.
Okay. So, anyways, Max Phillips. I hope his dad listens to this.
He will.
Sure, he will. He always does. Big fan.
Huge.
Max is going to Southern New Hampshire next year.
Yeah, go hang out with our boy, our
play
dog.
With Walshy. Hi, Walshy. Hi, Neil.
Neil.
2 seasons with the Chiefs and just a pure leader. Just an awesome leader.
Pure leader, pure sandpaper. Can play the gritty game, can score. He can kind of mix and match and do it all. He's one of those guys that he'll get you some PIMs because he will stick his nose in places where it belongs and maybe where it doesn't belong sometimes, but tough kid, good kid. He'll be a good Southern New Hampshire. Oh, forgetting their mascot. Patriots. Penmen. That's right. Duh.
That wasn't as bad as your other one. So we're good.
Yeah, I'll never surpass that.
Speaking of captains, their first season.
Oh my God.
Zach Withington. What were you going to say?
I was going to say somebody who Kristen Johnson would say put on the damn list immediately, and that is Scott Lawson.
I'll put them both on this list.
Scott Lawson lived with them.
I mean, when you lead the team in points, your team's only been around 3 years. Withington was a good player. I remember him from many showcases.
So the line
him and
that
Scott
year
were big dogs.
Yes, this was the line that year. It was Withington, McEnany, and Lawson who were I think they were basically together almost all season long, and each guy put up over 50 points. Like in a first season in the league, when you got 3 guys that are over 50 points, that's pretty legit.
Yep.
So we got Withington and Lawson so far.
Got to throw McEnany on there then too, right?
Complete
the line.
We'll put him here for now. And come back to that one. We haven't even touched one guy from this season so far. Did I spell that correctly?
I think you did.
I don't think so.
I did.
You did? Well done.
Sheesh.
Associate commish.
Thank you.
Yep, everybody, breaking news.
So back to...
Read the bio. Read the story on the website. It's there. It's official.
Back to this past season, I wanted to point out there was another scorer. Jason Gordon.
Gordon, yes. He topped the league
led the league in goals quietly, put up a number of points for Kyle in fantasy too.
Sure did.
A lot of power play goals I want to say in there too. I'll go back to that screen now. Yeah, 9 of his 25 were power play goals. I was going to then say
Loftus too.
Matt Loftus.
Yep.
And I've been told that his commitment is coming here soon, so I got to keep an eye out.
Isn't he an 01?
I believe he has a 2000.
Oh, maybe I'm just an idiot.
I can't wait to get to the D too. They have a bunch of good 2000. D from this past year.
Yes.
He is a 2000?
Yes, you and I, Jeff, each had one.
Sure did. For a while.
On our fantasy teams. Another player that I think was kind of underrated in a little way that put up more points than we talked about. Another 2000 that I hope his commitment is coming soon is Mitch Rickert. In 2 seasons with the Chiefs. Oh, I got to connect the profiles. Hold, please. It's because they're spelled differently. 14 points this past year, and then 31 the year before. So 45 himself in 2 seasons. You can see the same power play points, 12 his first year, a pair this past season.
A couple of short-handed assists too.
Not a big PIM guy. We always touch on that.
Not a big PIM guy. No. But does play the PK and the PP, so
I'm gonna put him on if you guys are cool with it.
Yeah.
Put him on.
Go ahead.
What other names did you guys have?
One that we all didn't realize. What about Kei Yasuda? He was a Chief for a hot second. He was a damn good Chief. 37 points in 32 games. If we want to put him up there,
I'll put him here, and I would say that he has a chance on being on 2 of these Team of the Week all-time lineups.
That's wild. We haven't had that yet.
No, there's another player. Well, I don't know how we're gonna do Del Tufo because if we did a revolution,
Matt.
Right.
Matt
Lewinsky.
I was like, man, we got lots.
That's a Wilkes-Barre.
Well, yeah. I mean, if we do
deceased programs,
well, yeah, like a defunct team one or something like that, right? I think that's where we could put a couple of those guys. I mean,
that would be a fun one.
A defunct team. The goalies would be Primo and Del Tufo, both for the Revolution, right?
Yeah.
Caden, hey, how are you? Montreal Canadiens, not too bad. Going into the playoffs, play down the stretch.
Would love to see him get into a playoff game.
Oh well, you're only one blow of the wind into Carey Price's crease from allowing that to happen. Oh, whoops!
Is that a Bruins fan talking?
Well, well, the wind just blew. I think Carey just blew his knee out again.
I didn't even know you could do this on Zoom. I'm getting so distracted, guys. Did you see this?
Oh,
you can shift where that bar is.
And the Western Mass Chiefs will be the Connecticut Chiefs again.
Yes, of course. We'll touch on that.
Back to Newington they go.
They had to change their name because they moved to Springfield for the second half of the season. One of 2 teams that moved for us during the year, them and the Lumberjacks. Just the nature of trying to get through this past season. It's one of those things where, I don't think I'll really it's set in a little bit, but it still hasn't really set in what we had to do to finish this past season. There were this is ridiculous. Not ridiculous. It's not that far away, but they legit changed their location.
Yeah, you became an expansion team for a season, and I know you guys have talked about it, but that does deserve more credit than we've given it. That is, and for them to have arguably their best season in their organization's history. Yes, it's only been 3 years, but to go through all that turmoil and surpass it, get into the playoffs, win a playoff game, that can't go unnoticed either.
Yep.
Oh, an old core.
Hey, I was gonna say him.
An old
look
apple
at my
bite.
phone.
Toivo Kramer is another 2000 who, like Rickert, I would hope that his commitment is coming soon, because between a season spent as the captain of the Apple Corps and a season spent with the Chiefs, where he was a point per game player with the Chiefs, with 21 points in 25 games. I guess I'm rounding up, but it's close enough, right?
Basically,
I mean,
a 0.91.
Well, here you go. Right, when you combined career, postseason plus regular season, he put up 70 points in 67 total games throughout his career in the EHL.
Yep.
So
I'm not totally wrong.
No.
So we'll put Kramer in there next. We're already at 9 forwards, guys.
Ooh.
Whoa, we're cruising low key.
Cruising.
And we haven't really touched on this 1920 team too much.
Hey, because that team was like lowest of keys. They're very low key. Don't you think they were low key?
Define that.
Like if you just look at their let's click on it. I'm clicking that on my phone.
The Brittany Hart legend for everyone at home, please.
The lowest of low keys, defined as
like
lowest key
you
on the
said
piano,
the first year. You said the first year there was 3 kids with 50 points. No one had more than 40 points, and they played 40 games.
Yeah.
So again, low key.
Okay.
They played 40 games.
I still don't know what low key means in this situation, but that's fine.
No one lit it up.
Okay.
Literally, no one lit it up. Okay.
No one brought the butane and went.
No.
So I was gonna say Zach Boulay next.
Sure.
Another good one. Yep.
Did I connect these ones? Yes, I did. So in 2 seasons,
one of those fun Canadian names.
Kind of close to what Rickert put up in 2 seasons. 43 points in 56 games for him.
Throw him on.
Another guy that played the power play and the penalty kill.
Could be coming back as a 0-1. So I think
it'll be interesting to see with Heffernan and who he keeps and who he doesn't. Being like a new coach, it's kind of like
you don't have to keep these people.
No, I mean, and you can bring guys from he's been all over the map over the last decade of coaching, so. He's got his footprint in a lot of different areas. He can end up bringing guys from, other programs that he's seen develop and stuff. So that should be interesting. Could be fun.
So that gets us down to 2 forwards left now.
Brian Watts.
And I meant to say Coach Heffernan. I don't know him on a last name basis. So
not yet,
Coach. Not
yet. I'll put Brian Waters in there. He was another captain for the Chiefs. He's now at Iowa State University, but in the 1 season that he had, nearly a point per game. I guess we can round up again, 39 and 40. So I'll put Brian.
That was what I was talking about, the low-key year.
Low-key, yes. Got it. I understand what you're saying.
We're going to take such offense to that, but I don't really care.
Oh, my God. So we're going back now, final forward. And we already have the top 4 forwards from the first season. We have the top 4 forwards from the second season. We have the top 4 forwards from the third season. So we're going to have to dig a little bit deeper for this one.
Let's do like a fan favorite.
Okay. Well, if it's a fan favorite and we have to do story time, I don't know if Brittany's about to get embarrassed by this, but
no, you can't tell this story on the air.
Yes, I can. I can.
This is everybody turn down your volume.
What season was this?
This is the first season, and this is Ty Morgan. Who's this Ty Morgan? Awesome.
Mute. Everybody mute.
It was funny though, Brittany. It was
mute
funny.
or mute?
No, it was funny.
It was funny because he legit made a PowerPoint to Brittany on why she should date him.
Oh, that was that's right. Oh my God. Oh, Ty, I love, dude.
I'm not gonna front. I still have it on my computer for a good laugh every now and then.
You can't see us on Zoom, but we bow to you, Ty Morgan. Well done, sir. That takes a lot of at that young age. Wow, man, that takes some gusto that the rest of us didn't have at that age.
We could go utility because of that.
I mean, it seems like he's got a pretty diverse skill set. So
let's see what we get to in D first, and then we'll go back to that one. But when she
hold him in the flex,
that was one of those texts, Jeff, that I tell you about when she we aren't talking at all. It's like today. I didn't talk to Brittany until we got on the Zoom today. But imagine about an hour before just getting a pause in all caps text. That was one of those where I got a pause and then PowerPoints forwarded to me through email. And I was like,
we love those texts.
I was pause. Okay, this is
question.
This is a little bit different. But hey.
GTs, man.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Hey, what about Santoro? He's kind of like a depth guy that I was scrolling through.
Then here you go, Jeff. We will put Morgan as the utility, and then put, I believe it was Joe Santoro as the forward. There we go. Right. Bingo. So now we go back to the D, and I think we got to start first and foremost with this past season.
Yeah,
the two 20-point guys, one for me and one for you, Jeff.
100%.
Declan Bronte and Dominique Chirico. Both guys were big for our fantasy.
And the biggest thing to talk about, well, besides his play, that is with Chirico, is his TikTok game that Brittany
I was just gonna get
learned us too. I knew you were. I knew it. I mean,
there were some.
That kid's funny. Him and Max Phillips are funny, talented hockey players.
Yes,
they are really funny.
Well, she finds that Jared Tyson's a 2-year Chiefs player.
Isn't he going to school
yeah, we just filled half the D.
Well,
isn't he going down the street from me?
Yeah, it's Framingham. As is every Team of the Week feature, we have to have at least one future neighbor for Brittany. So
wait, everybody, pause.
Oh,
I have just gotten a live text from Anthony Del Tufo.
Oh.
And it's nice. Hey, I listened to the Team Maryland podcast the other day and wanted to say thank you for the kind words. That was very sweet. I love nice people. I'm not one of them. I am not a nice person. But when people are nice to me, love it. Thank you. Oh, my God.
High key. Not low key. That's high
key. Not be me.
Jeff,
high key, love it.
Jeff, the highest of keys.
Highest of
keys.
Heaven's piano, Neil. Get on that stairway to heaven and slam on that highest key on the piano.
Oh, my God.
Literally. Oh, my God. That's so nice.
Mr. Grizzle Gear himself. Anthony Del Tufo.
So back to the 2018-19 Chiefs.
We
mentioned
Anthony Del Tufo did not play for
TikTok.
We touched on the 3 scorers that they had in McEnany, Lawson, and Withington that all put up 50 points. Freddie Ilias on defense was quietly one of the top 5 defensemen in the league.
Oh, yeah, easily. And he was in 01.
No, at 2000.
Oh,
he's in the OJ.
Where's he going?
But he was a 2000. He was a 2000 in the 18-19 season, right? So he
was with 98.
He was pretty young that year, and he put up.
Good player.
He put up 37 points and 43 himself.
Now he plays for the Milton Menace in the OJHL.
I think he's Canadian, anyways.
He's very Canadian. Yeah.
So he probably couldn't get in the country.
He's from Gainesville, Ontario. Is that's thing?
Gainesville, Florida. Go Gators.
Oakville, Ontario.
Oakville, sorry. Oh, Oakville. That's
It's a good thing. Let's go here. Hold on, I gotta see something.
Somebody from Bentley's from Oakville.
I was wondering if it's gonna say Gainesville here on his player profile.
Oh no!
And then we would have been.
We could have done the game. You're a Jags fan?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
No, Gainesville,
actually, Gainesville's down here. I'm actually from like way over up here, like the total across the country and then into the next country.
Right.
So that's
in fact, I think Aiden Polino from the Bentley Falcons was from Oakville, Ontario. Another off the rails good hockey town.
We got 4D so far. 4D so far. I kind of want to keep a little bit on the Southern New Hampshire train here. Because they have a forward and a D going there this season coming up.
And he was good. Yeah,
Ethan Rodriguez was an assistant captain, I believe, with Phillips, 2-year player for the team. And that gives us already 5D. Like, we're almost already done with this lineup, guys.
Wait, did this kid play many seasons? He played
2, I think.
Never mind.
Right?
Rodriguez played 2 seasons.
No. I was looking at somebody else.
Rodriguez back-to-back seasons with 0 goals and 11 assists. So that is consistent.
Oh my God. Neil.
What? Just saying, it's consistent.
Behave. Practice good behavior.
The last D is...
I just want this kid because I like saying his name.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those, you know how I have like those names? Come on, all right, that sounded weird. I need to rephrase this.
I like to say his name.
Literally, okay. Rephrase. There are those names. Jeff, you have these names that are just like fun. Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
Dude, I'm telling you, I'm
Garth Swanson. Like, what a freaking name. Garth Swanson, people.
Wagon.
Sea Wagon.
No, Brittany, absolutely. You have some PA in you, kid. You have some PA inklings in that blood. I can feel it.
Okay, so it wasn't that weird as we come to a close. Moving on, though, we can pick somebody else. But
yeah, I mean,
Garth Swanson. The only other Garth I know, Garth Snow or Garth Brooks.
Garth Wickham.
Yes.
Garth Wickham.
My favorite Garth of all time.
On this week's episode of Who is Your Garth?
This kid played Chiefs before too.
I was going to ask you guys to pick between Garth Swanson and an interesting one is Connor Lefkoff. And
that kid's an absolute beauty.
So it's interesting because he only played one season with the Chiefs in the EHL.
What about this kid?
We could go with Tristan Wells.
See one of their tall, big defensemen. I think I remember.
Yeah, dude, that kid is
he was a
tall
like 6'6" kid. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he's huge and he's skinny.
He's the Tree Jr., Clendenin's other brother.
Lefkoff played the 2018-19 season with the Chiefs. I want to say he was actually Freddie Ilias's D partner. And then he went with Kevin Cunningham when Kevin Cunningham went over to the NA3 with Danbury. And back-to-back seasons there, over 40 points, and now going to New England College. So I guess
Mac are best friends.
I guess we go back to Brittany's comment from earlier about being nice human beings. Do we want to show some generosity towards the fellow Tier 3 league, or do we want to stick with Garth Swanson?
I think we ring up Brandon Johnson and ask him.
I don't know if we have time to get him in on the Zoom right now.
No, I'm kidding.
That might run our recording a little heavy.
I don't know. I don't.
Garth Swanson for the win, Alex?
No idea.
For 500?
I will go.
Well, then, I mean, if we're going to put Mac on it and then we're not going to put Lefty on it, it's kind of like.
I think there's your point, because McEnany also went with Danbury. Lefkoff was that good in our league, and then obviously is going to New England College. So let's give them a little credit, and we'll put Connor Lefkoff in here. And that wraps up the lineup, guys.
Ooh,
sheesh.
Well, it felt fast, but we're right on time for what we usually are.
Oh.
So the forward unit of Max Phillips, Zach Withington, Scott Lawson, Kyle McEnany, Jason Gordon, Matt Loftus, Mitch Rickert, Kei Yasuda, Toivo Kramer, Zach Boulay, Brian Waters, and Joe Santoro. Defensive core of Declan Bronte, Dominique Chirico, Jared Tyson, Freddie Ilias, Ethan Rodriguez, Connor Lefkoff. Goaltending unit of JP Mella and Gabrielle Couture. And then the utility PowerPoint creator in Ty Morgan.
Microsoft PowerPoint extraordinaire.
Honestly, I have to give myself credit for that. If I didn't know these kids before and I showed up to a game and this was the lineup, I would have to ask for a few pronunciations because there's some tough ones in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
So that does
it. Be like Zach Boulette.
Yeah, I was just saying, I can hear everyone. You can hear all of our coaching friends butchering these ones. Yeah. Hey, who's covering Boulette over there? Who's covering Boulette? What?
It's a very crisp move.
That's what I was thinking.
Very crisp.
I don't want to say his name again.
Well, if the letter is in your name, we're pronouncing it. Okay?
Bullet? Hey, Bullet, get over here.
So that does it for the Chiefs Team of the Week feature. I think that was already our 6th one of these guys.
Damn. Wait, no, it's going to be September. We're going to be back to the season again.
That was
because we started with BJR. So count. Stop it.
Oh.
This was number 7.
Stop it.
This was actually number 7. We are not going to have a Team of the Week feature next week. My hope
we'll be in Denver.
Well, I'm trying to post a podcast episode still. The hope is
Hope is to talk about the CCM showcase.
Yes, the hope is to have Mike Jempler on, who's the director of the showcase. So I got to talk to him over the weekend. So an exclusive interview coming your way next week, and then we'll get back to the Team of the Week features after that, and we'll discuss offline who we want to return with after a one or I guess you can call it a 2-week hiatus. So that does it for the Chiefs.
Okay.
Thanks again to Greg Heffernan for coming on the podcast, and best of luck to him as he moves his way towards his first season as a head coach and GM in the EHL. And enjoy the 1 week off, Jeff. And I'll make sure to let you know how the flight out to Denver goes with Brittany.
Oh yeah, we always have our daily talks and conversations, so that'll be fun.
Talk to you guys in a couple weeks.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to The E-Show. Learn more at easternhockeyleague.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Also, be sure to subscribe and get notified when next week's podcast is released.